Boom, there we go. So in this video, we're gonna do a recap of the portable power station buyer's advice. I couldn't do buyer's guide because it wasn't a guide. We're not gonna do a recap. We're just gonna revisit it. I'm gonna talk about a couple power stations that I have my eye on. I'm not intending on buying any, but I've just been watching them. I've been watching the price. I've been looking at the features. I check out a video or two at a time. I have a surprise for you guys, and then we'll do some general solar Q&A. So I see MJ is here. What's going on, MJ? We got Ulysses, and then we have Sleeper and Paycheck. He said, I need a paycheck. Sleeper, your name is new, man. Welcome to, the live. Gary, what's happening? What's going on? Sunday backyard farmer, what's happening? Do I sound okay? Got the motorbikes going by. I'll save that for another day. All right, let's go ahead and get it popping. So I enjoyed making that portable power station buying advice video. It's gotten a lot of views. I think it's going to be one of my most popular videos for sure. Outside of the one that is my most popular video, but Led shared that, and he has a huge following. Plus, it was like some things that kind of fell into place with that one. It has about 10,000 views, which is cool. I think this one's going to get a lot of views too, kind of comparable to that. I see that people appreciated it. I had some people who commented and said that it was good info. I did want to talk about a couple things from that video. Something that I left out that brother Joe Trott mentioned was battery chemistry. So I wanted to follow up on that. We talked about that before, but just in terms of buying a portable power station, we have to be mindful of the battery chemistry. There's really two, lithium ion and lifepo. And I kind of go back and forth, not necessarily in which one I like, but they have their pros and cons, I guess. The main con that jumps out for LiPo is it's heavier. The main con that jumps out for lithium ion is that the cycle life is lower, but you can find some balance there, so that's something that I want people to be mindful of. And then there was another concept that I talked about, which was pass-through charging. Ironically, Hobotech did a very good video on the Delta Pro. He did his technical video. He split them in two, which I thought was very smart. And he talked about pass-through charging. So I want to kind of deal with that a little bit here and what he shared and so on and so forth. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, MJ. South, what's happening? Sweet Daddy Kool-Aid. That's an interesting name. You're intrigued by the EB55. I am not. I have some questions about the EB55, but I'm not necessarily intrigued. That price point puts me off. Gaze, what's happening, brother? Hey, Kathy, what's up? My man, Silver Stacks, what's happening? Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Your generosity. That's kind. Hey, 2%. Joe Tyson, what's happening? Siobhan. That's such a smooth name, Siobhan. Hey. So the idea of pass-through charging. I have kind of a archival brain, but I remember quite some time ago, Hobotech or Will Prowse talked about, I think it was Hobotech, I'm pretty sure. He talked about pass-through charging, and that's what kind of led me to the space to make the comment that I made in the last video, which was pass-through charging in the sense of a portable power station is one thing. And then true pass-through charging is like a whole nother thing. And that whole true pass-through charging is where, now I'm not saying that that's what the industry calls it. I'm just saying in my mind, if you have a charge coming in from the wall and it bypasses your battery and just passes that charge directly through to the devices that it needs to charge. That in my mind is true pass-through charging. And Hobotech touched on that in his EcoFlow Delta Pro video, because it has what's called a UPS feature. Now, if you know anything about the EcoFlow River, I think it too has the UPS feature. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. The missus bought me some water. I'm sure people will say hi at some point. She's the one who told me my angle is trash.
Yeah, these bricks.
And this angle is trash. Really? I hate that the sky is blown out like this. I may have to switch back to the bricks.
No, don't do the bricks. Maybe that's sad.
That's too much of a switch. I'd have to do like the table. I have to take an intermission, a brief intermission.
Oh, you about to talk about this?
Mind your business, please.
I'm just saying.
Don't be out here giving away information.
Which, by the way, you about to let your El Campesino just get soggy again.
Can you take it out of the juice, please? I'm sorry. My wife is, she's rude and thoughtful. Yeah. She's both of them. She's rude and thoughtful, you know? All right. I don't want to knock this over, so we're going to put this back here. So the EB70 is greater than the EB55, in my opinion. That would be my opinion, too. I don't know. So Jason Noy is going to make a video about it. He made a post about it. And my questions for him is the 8 amp limit gone? Is it present on the XT60? Okay, so the EB55 is a smaller portable power station. It has like 500 watt hours of capacity with the same inverter that's in the EB70. It also has the 8mm barrel input, and it has the XT60 solar input, the same kind that the EcoFlow line has on them. So I had a couple questions. Is the 8 amp limit still there for the XT60 connector? And can you still charge with solar through the 8mm port, just in case you have like an extra cable laying around? I just like options. I love options, actually. So I'll see if he answers those questions. He responded to my comment, so he's aware of my inquiry, but I'm curious about that. He talked about how it has either he or somebody else. No, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. They talked about how the buttons respond better. You have to press and hold them to turn them on. So if you just press a button, then the screen lights up. Still no percentage. But it's $4.99. How are you going to give me 200 whole watt hours less for the same price? I don't care what kind of shortcomings the EB70 has. I wouldn't buy EB55. It was actually, Brother Wayne was telling me that they had some kind of pricing in the Facebook group that was very interesting. I think it was like $2.99. And I wasn't compelled. I wasn't. So we'll get back to the Brother Wayne. What's happening? I'll be sure to pass on your hello to the missus. I'm sure she'll be back. Hey, Linda. Oh, I guess she was on camera with the baby. That's my daughter, our 4th child and final child. Stuart, what's happening, man? Stuart says it seems Bluetti is heading to lifepo chemistry. Bluetti? Bluetti already has it. What do you mean? All right, pass-through charging. So the UPS feature that I believe is present in the EcoFlow River is also present in the EcoFlow Delta Pro, and is probably present in their entire line for the most part. And what that does is you plug it into the wall, the power from the wall passes through the power to the device that is powering. If you saw the Hobotech video, the way that EcoFlow handles it is interesting. He kind of contrasted it to the Bluetti style, which takes both the limit from your outlet, which is probably like 20 amps or 15 amps. And then if you put something in there that uses more than that amp output limit of your outlet, I know this is getting really technical, please forgive me. The Bluetti will compensate for it by pulling power from the battery. The EcoFlow, on the other hand, senses that your outlet is maxed out and then says, no, we can't do anything more than that. Sorry, young fella. I can appreciate both. I can. But he talked about this idea that a part of that UPS feature is when you plug it into the outlet, it bypasses the battery. For a person who's mindful of cycle life and the value that preserving cycle life presents to you, I love that idea, but I was curious about whether UPS engages when you're powering from solar, even if you have less of a threshold. So for UPS to work, you have to be using less power than is coming in, unless you have the Bluetti, which he talked about, compensates if you use more power than you have coming in from your outlet. So let's think about this realistically. If I have two 100-watt panels on my EcoFlow River, and I'm running a 100-watt load, those panels are producing 120 watts. If the UPS function was able to work on that, then it will bypass my battery. I don't think that's how it works. I was saddened by that. I asked him about it. He responded to my comment and said that UPS only works when AC is in the mixture. Somebody else responded and said that they believe that the UPS function, not the UPS function, the pass-through by bypassing the battery would work if your power station was full. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to set my charge capacity, my state of charge capacity via my EcoFlow app to whatever percentage is convenient that day. So if I'm at 50%, I'll set it to 50%. If I'm at 80%, I'll set it to 80, so that device is looked at as full. And then I'll put a load on it that is lower than the solar output that I have coming in. And obviously it would have to be on a super sunny day because you don't want your solar to fluctuate. And I want to see if that truly bypasses the battery. Now, I'll tell you something that I saw today. My EcoFlow, because we were out of town for a few days, my EcoFlow was full. It hadn't been deeply discharged. I didn't leave it plugged in over the vacation time. I didn't leave any of my power stations plugged in over that vacation time. But it got full pretty fast, and it was at 100%, and I put maybe a 20-watt load on it. I was charging like my cell phone or something like that. It started pulling in 100 watts to compensate for that. I don't know what that's about, but I'm going to test it. Let me see if you guys have any questions. Blood Gauge says the 200-watt max, 12 to 28 volt, 8 amp is in the manual for the EB5. Does that essentially mean that, it's the same thing? That's what it sounds like to me. Hey, happy wife. Good to see you too. Or, you know how that works. I'm technical. My brain can't shut it off. Yes, the XC60 still has the 8 amp limit. That is sad. Very sad. Hey, Miss Beverly. How are you? I got your email, but there was nothing in it. I responded to your email. I wasn't sure what you were trying to show me, but I didn't see it. So you're going to have to resend it to me. Or ask it here. I don't know. If it's something that I need to see, then email me. Hey, what's the inverter capacity for the EB70? That is a very good question. They say it's 700 with a surge of up to 1400. But I've never seen anybody other than maybe Hobotech. I don't know if he surged it actually, but Sati tested it. I have tested it. Many others have tested it. Once I hit 800 watts, that thing shuts down. Now, I don't know if that is a surge or I can't tell what's going on. I don't know if that is a surge or if my deep freezer is pulling that load and thus shutting down the EB70. I'm not sure. The interesting thing about my deep freezer is it's not rated for that much on the label, but that's a whole nother story. It's actually like 120 volts and 1.6 amps, which should be about less than 200 watts, right? Like 160, 170, 180. But that sucker jumps, and it should. It's a freezing equipment. The compressor kicking on should go higher. But I thought it was interesting that the label was labeled in that way. Whereas like my fridge is rated for 120 volts at 6 amps. So the fridge is like, yeah, fam, we pulling some power, B. We're not playing around. We may drop, but we need that power. I gotta zoom this out. Cow dog connoisseur, hello. I'll be sure to tell the missus you said hello. They're lingering around here.
They're watching you like, wait a minute, you ain't been bright all day. You come out here for your live and you are bright and bubbly and conversationalist and
It's because of what I'm talking about. Thanks for yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm just creeping.
The missus is here because the camera angle is different. She doesn't get to just pop in and be all visible.
I can actually creep now.
She could creep and y'all not know she's standing over here cyber stalking me.
I was sitting down there cutting his toenails like, hold on. He all chipper and bubbly. I ain't get this all day.
Yeah. So back to solar, right? Wayne said hello.
Hey,
a bunch of people say hello, but my wife kind of.
Everybody, all of y'all, hello.
Can't nobody see you. The camera's right here, by the way.
What is on my head?
Miss Beverly said, having problems with this phone. I did resend it. I appreciate your answer. Okay, cool. Keldria, hey, what's happening? Blood Gaze says hi. I was talking about you, Blood Gaze. I was like, he has quite a name. And I'm like, he is old as me. Why is his name so interesting like that? But then I was like, yeah, we all have our emails from when we were like teenagers or in our early 20s. So I cut you some slack there. All in the soil. What's happening, brother? Happy Wife says hello.
Oh, her name is Happy Wife? That's
yes.
Oh, that's cool.
That's not cool.
That is cool.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess she's a happy wife. Happy
you know?
wife is half of the state. We're getting off track here.
No, let's go there.
Happy wife is half of a statement that I do not disagree with. It is happy wife, happy life. And I'm not a fan of that. Happy wife, happy life is for suckers.
But that's like, you can't just inject that into her name.
Oh, I'm not. You said let's talk about it. I mean, her name is awesome. I actually even talked to her about it. She was like, she changed her name to Happy Wife because she's married now and she's happy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She ain't got nothing to do
Hey,
with
get you
wife,
some joy, Happy Wife. This is what happens when my wife comes here.
I should pull up a chair and help out.
You could. I don't know if you should.
Come on, guys.
Joe Tyson says, happy wife, happy life. I guess. Are you happy, Joe? Do you get to be happy?
True. What's the other phrase that
happy spouse, happy house, or something like that?
There we go. That's
I feel like Risha would say that.
Like that.
Yeah, she would say something like that.
Happy house, happy spouse.
Joe Tyson says yes with an exclamation point. He is emphatic. What's going on, David, about his happiness? I do get in trouble, but I don't care about getting in trouble. I mean, sometimes conversations get you in trouble, 2%. I don't mind trouble.
Yeah, buddy. Come on, son.
Wayne said, yes, she should pull up.
I might. I just might. I just got all these kids.
Hey, you're welcome. You're certainly welcome. Joe, you have been coerced. Joe says, I have to be careful. The wife is in the other room and she's listening. You got to put some headphones in, brother. All right. Happy wife, happy husband. I like that, Dennis. I like that. But it prioritizes the wife's happiness. Yes, you want your wife to be happy. But like, happy life shouldn't be predicated on you bending and bowing to make your wife happy.
I think perhaps as reasonable people, like we keep the home and everything. So if we're happy, we help make everything else function properly. You automatically gonna be happy if we happy.
Is that true though?
Yeah.
I feel like some dudes bend over backwards to make their wives happy and their needs aren't met. They still out here in these streets working 16 hours and all that jazz. She happy.
My disclaimer was reasonable people.
Yeah, well, I get that.
Like, I feel like there's some people who just want to be unhappy.
I get that.
Or not even want to be unhappy. They just are.
Are y'all enjoying this? Because this feels rude.
My bad. I know you want to get into your...
No. It's just like we're having a conversation void of these people who are sitting here.
You wanted to talk about solar.
Yeah. No. I'm sure that they're not about that. But you guys feel excluded. My wife and I want to do a podcast. We've been wanting to do one for years. And life, wife.
Yeah.
2% says I'm single, so I can't get into that.
Yes, you can. Well, do you want to stay single? Because if you don't want to stay single, you trying to tell me to go now?
No, I'm saying congratulations to Bo. He said, great topic. Me and the missus hit 25 years today.
Oh,
Salute to you
nice.
guys. Congratulations.
Wow. Now those are veterans.
Veterans. Just agree. I have been divorced twice. Trust me. See, Wayne, you're that guy. You're the happy wife, happy life guy. I don't just agree. I have to disagree sometimes. And if that results in...
What's his point?
He's saying just agree with what you're saying.
No, Wayne. That's why
I don't like that saying. Just agree. I'm not agreeable.
No,
I'm not an agreeable man.
You are not. Which is problematic.
Stacks. Stacks says her live now. To take over.
Wait, that's Silver Stacks or Silver? I know, right? I feel like you just stopped talking about marriage. I was already in the house, like on my way.
Happy wife. This is all your fault.
It is.
It really. I mean, that's what you did.
For girl power.
Yeah, she's racist. Oh my gosh! I wonder how many people left. None of y'all, because y'all probably soldiers. So anyway, pass-through charging. All right. So I don't think it works that way. I'm sure y'all enjoyed that. That's why I want to do the podcast. Talking to my wife is always a pleasure. It's even more pleasurable when we're talking while being mindful of people. I call it the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, because you can have harder conversations with your spouse if you just have another couple around you. It kind of de-escalates things, whereas like you guys talking together, it will probably escalate. So I love this whole exchange that happens when we're able to talk amongst other people. All right. Never fight, you never win. This is what I'm saying. We fellas, we have all these cliches that kind of doesn't rock the boat, but I'm not into that. I am into it a little bit, to be honest with you, but not those phrases and things like that. Like that, sometimes I don't bring up stuff with my wife, issues that I have, because I know it will disrupt the peace of the home. She's not as good at issues being brought to her as practice as I am, because the ladies, you guys are vocal about the issues. Guys, we are typically not as vocal. Anyway, the riches revealed. We have a podcast coming at some point. It's going to be called First Comes Marriage. So y'all look out for that. Let's get back to the solar. I'm going to scroll up at some point to see what y'all are saying. That may send me down a spiral of talking about marriage and relationships again. Please forgive me. I do have a bonus thought as it relates to this whole idea of pass-through charging, right? It just hit me while listening to Hobotech's video about how the EcoFlow Delta Pro handles pass-through charging. Why can't we have a device, right, that you can plug into AC that also can take solar charging in, and that can prioritize solar to power all of your devices? And then when your battery dies or gets too low, it switches over to AC, or it takes the AC to supplement whatever power you can't produce from solar. Why don't power stations do that? Now, there are all-in-one units, the MPP and the GrowWatt. I know about these because of Will Prouse on his channel, that can take solar in, that can be connected to a load, and then can also be connected to your outlet. And then what happens is it prioritizes solar, powers the stuff from solar, and whatever it can't handle through solar up to its capacity, it pulls that from AC to power the load. The thing that I would like about those MPPs and the GrowWatts, those all-in-one systems that you just have to add solar to, is you need a battery. I'm sorry, you don't just have to add solar to them. You have to add solar and a battery. And I'm not really into like batteries. So I hope power stations can catch up and enable that feature. I think that feature would be dope. Dope. That'd be awesome. It sounds like the Bluetti kind of has something like that, but it's not. It's really that it'll pass through electricity first and foremost. It prioritizes AC, which I think is silly. It prioritizes AC, and then when it reaches the max of your outlet, it'll go to the battery and then start pulling power from the battery. That's kind of ridiculous to me. Or you should be able to set it. I get it. There's not enough power. Well, no. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm always ahead with the missus. Sometimes I fall back, but she knows who she married. She knows exactly who she married. That's not an excuse for me to be a jerk or anything like that. I have to be careful, but she knows. Dennis says that will be my ultimate set it and forget it scenario, right? That would be dope. That solves the problem of basically everybody who's into portable power stations. Your power station dies, then you got to go and unplug your stuff and hook it up to something else. It should not be this way. There should be a way to pass through AC power to that. It could even only kick on when it's low or something. I just feel like I need somebody to figure this out because that would be perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it does. It does. Wives are great. Good wives are great. Bad wives, y'all suck. What are you gonna do? All right, that was the bonus thought. I'm gonna scroll up. the, the Eyes Family Solar Channel. Ah, I see you. You're emphatic about that, Wayne. The Eyes Family Solar Channel. We'll see. I wonder if she's gonna come back up. That means the kids are gonna have to come up because what are they gonna be doing, right? You know what? Did anybody have any questions or any thoughts as it relates to the portable power station buying advice? I talked about how I forgot to talk about battery chemistry, and then I wanted to also elaborate on this idea of pass-through power. If nobody has any questions, then we'll move on from that. If anybody asked a question that I missed while the missus, just ask it again because sometimes I miss them. Sweet Daddy Kool-Aid says, if your wife is happy, she will make sure you are happy. If you have a good wife. Paycheck says, newbie question, can you only send funds during live session? That's a good question. Paycheck, appropriate. YouTube is initiating some type of applause or thanks feature that will appear on videos where you can give money to creators during their videos, because right now the only way you can give money is during the lives. I'm gonna be honest. I think people want to see themselves be able to give money publicly. That's just, maybe that's the cynic in me, but I think it's also a bit of a sociological observation, which I get. You know what I mean? It's like you want to be able to give somebody. You wouldn't want to give a gift to somebody and not necessarily be there for them to receive it. That's a part of the thing that warms your soul. Being able to give something to somebody and then be able to say thank you. So I get that. I just don't know how well it's going to go over with being able to send a thank you via United States currency or whatever your currency is. And the person just kind of gets it, all willy nilly. I don't know. We'll see. But they are implementing something. Bloodgate says when married, the two become one. So the couple's happiness is the goal. Exactly. Ain't no happy wife, happy life. Stuff should not be predicated on her being happy first. That's what I understand that to be saying. If you want a good life, you need to make a happy wife. It's like, how about we come to this thing together? But anyway, we'll save that for when the missus is around. We'll just change the show title to be like couples therapy or something crazy like that. The sound is still here. Then it says, I'm looking for storage now, so I'm looking for the cheapest generator, preferably LiFePo. Oh, wait, no audio. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So can some people hear and some people can't? South Padre says, I'm watching the AC 200p for price drop. The solar panels input be series or parallel. Series is how you get the higher voltage, and the AC 200p, which I call the ACP, it needs a higher voltage. So you need to put them, you need to have panels that are at 24 volts to begin with. That's a whole other complicated thing. Or you need to put two 12-volt panels in series. All right, says they can hear, they can hear, they can hear. Okay, moving on. Sorry if you can't hear. Paycheck says, okay, now I have to be careful, but my next question would be, if you only need an email address to send money to anyone, why not here? Is it against? I don't understand. I'm not sure I follow. Oh, really? Ulysses said Jason Noy just tested a 500 watt. Looks great. Nice. Thanks, Miss Beverly. In a future video or live, can you demonstrate a method for propping up solar panels on the ground? Is it easier to just buy one of those stands? How do you prop up your solar panels? That's a good question. I'm gonna try and answer it here. Because of, I guess, how I am, I just try to use whatever I have. Let me walk you through some of the ideas that I've had. I wanted to try and figure out how to do a hand truck to kind of tilt my panels. I mainly lean my panels up against stuff. Right now, my panels actually lay flat because I don't have it in my mind to be trying to tilt them to get perfect sun. Plus, it's the summer months, so the sun is going to eventually get overhead. And my power usage and my power capacity is such so that I don't necessarily need to be banging out all the time. I don't know how I feel about that as my power station situation changes in the future. My property is also not big enough for me to, not that I would build anything, but it's not big enough for me to kind of get into trying to like lean it up against stuff. Also, I like to have the most solar power possible. So I would follow the sun periodically throughout the day if I'm just being greedy. But I'm getting away from being greedy with the sun because I'm starting to understand that you could just spend another $100. I'm not saying that that's a little bit of money, but it's an affordable amount of money, and just get more power without having to go through adjusting your panels and stuff like that. Things that I have tilted my stuff against are foldable chairs. Thank you, 2%. Foldable chairs. Right now, I have them leaning up against a kind of. Okay, let me stop there. I've had most of my ideas about what to lean panels up against when I've had smaller panels like about 50 watt. Once you get into like a 200 watt panel, it gets a little harder. These HQSTs over here that are more square than narrow, they're a little unwieldy too. But if I had a smaller thing in my mind, the best thing to put a small panel on is, you remember those lawn chairs that you would take to the beach? That kind of like had the little rickety cricket thing that would snap them into different places, and you could lay them flat and they made like the little trapezoid type of shape. I think that those are perfect chairs for like little solar panels to like tilt them at the perfect angle. I think about this stuff a lot, especially when I first got into solar and I only had a 50 watt panel. You have a 50 watt panel, you want to get as much power as possible, because if you don't have that thing angled, getting like 32 watts or 25 watts or 24 watts is no fun, really. I mean, it's just not. Oh, thank you. Happy Wife says she didn't mean to take over the video. It's okay. It's okay. Stacks, it's just the internet. I'm uploading a video while watching your video, and everything on the web is struggling. Okay, yeah, you're talking about the audio. Sometimes people can have technical difficulties. I don't know. You know what I mean? My signal looks good. Microphone sound is working. B3, what's happening? Is solar power lost with long cables? You do lose. I think you lose. I think you lose voltage with longer cables. Or somebody who's, I wonder if Joe tries around. He has a bit of an electrical background or experience. He could probably answer that better. But the typical idea is the longer you run the cable, the more you introduce loss into your situation. It's a very fine line you play with the volts and the amps. I think the amps are what you need the thicker cable for. Don't get me to making up stuff. Miniman Prep had a good video about his Titan where I picked up a little tip from him where he talked about how it's easier to send volts over longer, thinner wires, and it's harder to send amps over longer, thinner wires. You typically have to have thicker cable for higher amps. And you can have like volt. That's kind of why we have AC instead of DC. That's kind of why European countries have 240 instead of 120, because you can get that power out. Voltage travels better over longer distances. Amps, in order to take amps a long distance, you need super big cable. All right, it's the bugs flying around and all that jazz. Bloodgate says you drop voltage with distance. My man, boom. So so think about that. If you lose like 2 volts, or I don't know how much, but your amps are still the same, you can go from 16 volts to like 14 volts. So instead of 16 volts times 5.5 amps, you would get 14 volts times 5.5 amps. That's 10 watts. So, it adds up, I guess. And especially if you're doing it yourself, it certainly adds up, cabling and all that jazz. V Solo, what's happening? Seems like there's a glitch in YouTube. Yeah, people, Led has had a couple issues with buffering and things like that during his lives. I find that what happens is my phone struggle, but then when I go to a different app, this app called New Pipe. That's a whole nother story. And people also have success going and watching on their TV, and they usually just watch the comments on their phone. MJ says that, yeah, that's old school chilling. But don't that plastic gets hot too. That stuff was cool, man. The worst thing is if you had one of those folded chairs and it didn't work anymore. It was just like, ugh. You were fortunate if you got the one that worked. It was a fun time as a kid. Byron says we had the power off for the storm this week, having 15 kilowatts. You can have fans, 15 kilowatts to keep rooms cool. You have 15 kilowatts. That's no little amount of power, sir. Miss Beverly says, happy wife, happy life. I'm 71 and I said it's all about reciprocity, both giving and receiving. There you go. Happy spouse, happy house. Boom. Switch it up. Joe Tyson says amps, current more so. I don't understand that. I know amps and voltage is current, but I'm still trying to learn that, man. I've watched so many videos, so many. The best example I heard about it was, and I didn't even understand that example. I'll probably try and share the video or put it somewhere. But he talked about the flow of water. People like to use the flow of water in the size of the hose versus the pressure in the hose. And I still don't get it. I don't get it. You also lose current, fully charged. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by the live. I appreciate you. Fully Charged DIY has a channel that he's growing. And I like his channel. He has like a thing that he built, a kilowatt, he built his own portable power station. He's been publishing some shorts. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, which a few of these people are in here with the DIY, check out Fully Charged DIY. Good stuff. Ulysses asks, how long are your cables from your devices? From my 200-watt solar panel, Rich Solar, to my EB70, I have a 50-foot cable. Most of my other cables are less than 20 feet. My Renogy panels are in parallel. I use like a 20-foot cable. I may even have 2 15-foots connected together to reach to my desk. My other situation down here, which is my 100-watt HQST, it's like a 10-foot cable. And then because I've combined some panels in parallel, I have another cable in my garage that's just not being used. And I think it's either a 20 or a 15-foot. And all of my cables are 12 gauge. Excuse me. They're 12 gauge and 10 gauge. I never go above that just because the amount of money, the difference is not enough to warrant not just future proofing your buyers by going like 10 gauge or 12. So that's what I do with my cables. And they say the letter that they put behind it to denote the gauge is AWG. So you'll see 10 AWG, which I think is the American wire gauge standard, or 12 or 14. Candace L, are you familiar with the Bouge RV life? I'm not familiar with it. I've seen it. It just looks like a EB70. I've talked about this before, but the EB70, I don't think Blue Eddy developed that themselves. I think they bought it wholesale or, whatever, and then they sell it to us, which is the same thing with the EB150 as I understand it, because Rich Solar also sells the EB150. They call it like the Rich X500 or X1500 or something like that. Oh man, I hate when the comments move on you. I be in a certain spot, man. Stop messing with my comments. Byron Morris says it creates heat when you have it too long. Yeah, resistance creates heat and then you lose efficiency. Joe Tyson says that's how high power transmission lines work with transformers. Please explain that if you want to. I'm curious about that. I'll probably read it later. Bloodgate says, what do you think about Lead Farmer falling in love with the EcoFlow River 600? Brother Lead, man, that's cool. I'm glad he tried it. I said on one of his lives that he is convinced one way until he is convinced the other. I would dare to say he's probably a black and white person. My wife is a black and white person. She will be completely gung-ho one way until she completely switches and goes the other way. There is no like, but she don't do that. I'm more of the like gray and the, you know what I mean? So I think Led's one of those people. He was like anti until he got it and then he loves it. It's a dope device. It's a dope device. EcoFlow is always pushing the technical boundaries. That's why it wasn't my first purchase, but it was the first purchase I spent over $200 on. I bought the Bodens for $120, and then I bought the Rock Pals, which typically cost like $270 back then. But it was refurbished, so I got it for $100 cheaper. And then between me and y'all, something broke on it, and they refunded me my money. So at Rock Pals, all the power it produces is free energy. That's why that Rock Pals is in my basement right now, hooked up to a 100-watt panel. Because of my portable power stations, my smaller, kind of more inexpensive ones, the reason why I bought it is because it pulls in 80 watts of solar. So I want to get that 80 watts in, and then I'll charge other power stations with it. I'm running into some issues with it, but that's a whole nother story. But that Rock Pals, every bit of power that comes in through it is making me or saving me money because it didn't cost me anything. I'm not recouping anything on that Rock Pals. Gotten Gains, what's good, man? Thanks for stopping by the live. All right. I want to buy Ask Ibe a chalkboard so while he's spitting out the math equations, he can write it down. That would be interesting. It would take, we got to move. We need a new house, a bigger house. I'm starting to feel like we've outgrown this one. I told my wife, like, this house doesn't feel like it's ours anymore. So I don't even want to change stuff with it. I feel like the new owners can figure out what they want to do with it. We need a bigger house. So I say all that to say, I don't have space for it. I don't know where I would film it at. I just don't have the space. My garage is janky. It's kind of like dank. Even lighting it up, it's white walls, so it's kind of dirty and stuff like that. It's not filthy or anything, but I don't know where I would film it. I'd love to be able to be at a chalkboard or a whiteboard showing stuff. That's a whole nother thing though. Is it me or is it the consensus that Blue Eddy appears to be in the lead of portable power stations? Rapi Dottie says, and what is up with Jackery making the same thing bigger and forcing panels? Jackery is off the chain for that. But Jackery's been in the game for a while. It's just like Goal Zero. Goal Zero's off the chain for their pricing. Jackery is off the chain for slow walking technology. It's the same thing with Apple, which is why I don't rock with them anymore. I bought an Apple iBook sight unseen when they only had a handful of stores in the country. I was so impressed with that thing. I haven't felt that feeling from Apple in a long time. The slow walk in technology, and I'm not wasting my money on somebody who has no interest in innovating appropriately. This slow iteration stuff is for the birds. Jackery made a almost perfect device in that Jackery 300, and then they come out with this 1500 and 2000. Now, I don't own any of those devices. I get the feeling from other people that Jackeries are workhorses. They just work. But this stuff with these proprietary pins that you need an adapter and a parallel cable doesn't work unless both panels are plugged in. It's like, what are we doing? That stuff is just off the chain to me. Roppy Dotty. I don't know if Blue Eddy, I see Blue Eddy as the middle ground between Jackery and EcoFlow. EcoFlow is pushing the envelope. Jackery is slow walking stuff. Blue Eddy is kind of doing the best of both things in their development. Oh, I'm not reading that comment, Happy Wife. Y'all can have that conversation. Byron says, I have 35 solar generators. Wow, sir. Wow. That's deep. Why? Why do you have so many? I get how that number climbs because you know you upgrade and you buy stuff and you see more stuff that you like and you buy some more stuff, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Karma says, thank you for your advice on the original Rockpals 300. I got a $30 partial refund. Rockpals responded, we don't sell this product anymore and the stock was sold out, so we can't send you the cable. Oh, okay. Yeah, you asked me about the cable. Yep. That makes sense. That's the one thing I don't like about that Rockpals is because they have that weird connector on the end. I wish I could find another connector. I had to fight with Rockpals a little bit to get them to send me another one because the MC4 was impossibly tight. I mean, impossibly. I had a bunch of panels. I had a bunch of extension cables. I was trying all kinds of stuff. I could not get this wire to interface with the other wire. It was impossible. It worked. I didn't have a clamp meter before, so I couldn't measure I didn't know if it was getting the right amount of solar input. I wasn't sure what was going on. So I had to kind of hassle them to give me another cable back then, and they sent me one. I guess they're out of them now. But the minute I complained to them about one of my ports not working, they just refunded me my money. And I don't know if it's because they know that device was crap or if they didn't want to be bothered with it. Van Everything had an issue with something from Rockpals, and they refunded him his money. So, you know, I still like Rockpals though. Rockpals is like a budget offering that's, it kind of reminds me of compact computers. It's like they'll last forever, but little stuff will break on them. Some of y'all are old. Most of y'all are old enough to remember compact computers. I think they merged with HP. But little stuff will break on those Rockpals. But I like them. I like them for the price. I don't think you can beat the value unless it doesn't have pass-through charging. And a lot of them don't. Oh, wait. Before we move on, let me tell y'all about the surprise. So look what I got. I got a 50-watt SunPower solar panel. I'm looking forward to testing this thing, man. It's pretty cool. It's a little bigger than I thought. It's the same size as my 50-watt Renogy. It's just, you know, it's a flexible panel. I'm not crazy about the bend in these cables. I'm a real stickler for that. So I'm probably not going to have it upright like this. I'll probably lay it more to the side. But this thing cost me $85. I pulled the trigger mainly because of you guys' generosity, and then specifically because of some person's generosity. I know that person does not necessarily want credit, but I appreciate you, person, because that's why I got it. But I'm looking forward to it because I think that this is going to be a potential, I don't want to say solution, but easer as it relates to apartment living people. Oh, Miss Beverly, if you're still here, This is the panel I was telling you about that you may be able to easily move around your patio and get some power. So yeah, I'm gonna probably try and do this video next week. Anybody have any questions about that? Because I'm excited about that. I'm not excited about the fact that it's just 50 watts because realistically, unless you have this thing perfectly aimed at the sun at all times, it's probably going to produce like about 30 watts. It may produce like 42 when you have it perfectly at the sun, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But I don't want the 100 watt ones because they have so much flex in them that they sag. At least from what I've seen, all of the 100 watt flexible panels, they sag. I want to talk about how Solar Will feels about flexible panels. And I tend to agree with his assessment is that they don't last a long time. So you need to be prepared for that. I can't necessarily compare them to a rigid panel. If that thing lasts me 3 to 5 years, I'll be happy with it because, you know, it's fine. My rigid panels are going to last forever, which brings me to another point. Y'all, if y'all are thinking about buying rigid panels, don't hesitate. There's really no downside to buying them. As long as they're about $1 per watt, those things will last you for years. And worst case, one of them stops working or something like that. Hopefully it's within the warranty period. Hopefully that company is around to guarantee the warranty or to honor the warranty. But I want to get another 200 watt rich solar panel, but it went up from 209 to 219. And I was just like, I'll wait. I'm going to scroll down to see what the new comments say. It looks fragile, 2%. It is fragile. It certainly is. It's not super delicate, but you can't move all willy-nilly with it. I wouldn't stack anything on top of it. I'm going to treat it like it is a flexible panel that has stuff in it. If you bend it, it'll break. Fully Charged says, I sprayed mine with 3M clear coat UV protection. Some of my first panels were flexible ones. Do you feel like that worked, Fully Charged? That's interesting. Delgado, what's happening? If you can work out how you will connect that to the Go Power Plus, I will be eternally grateful. I tried to go and find a Go Power Plus because it's not that a lot of people ask me about it, but if one person asks me about it, I feel like it's a person. I'm curious. I like helping people. So I was just like, let me see if I could grab one and figure out the solar limitations of this thing to try and help that 1 or 3 or 7 people. But I couldn't find one at the Walmart. And then they're like all over the place. It wasn't in this section. It could have been in that section. I didn't see one in my local one. I tried. And Cow Dog Connoisseur was telling me how she's trying to find the adapter like many people are. And she reached out to them, or somebody reached out to them, and Go Power Plus or whatever, they don't have the they're not helpful, basically. I feel bad. I do. Fully Charged says it stops cracking. Okay, that's cool. Kevin asked me, when am I gonna start canning food? That I'm not a prepper. When people ask me about that, I like to say that there are people who are preppers. There are people who are prepper adjacent. I'm like prepper adjacent. I'm concerned about the things that Lead Farmer talks about. I'm concerned about the things that other people talk about. I talked to my wife about buying more food, more perishable food, but I'm not gonna can. I'm not a hands in the dirt kind of guy at the moment. I know Led is probably gonna be like, all right, Ive, you like, bro, what? But it just, I'm conflicted about it. I'm a man of faith. I'm a Christian. I feel like I'm gonna have to talk to God about it. Like, Lord, I do. So what I want to do is I want to be able to get in kind of whatever cahoots with my neighbors. Like I have a neighbor who grows food. She's just kind of getting her hands wet. She doesn't have a green thumb or anything yet. I want to see if one of my neighbors is willing to like do chickens or something. I would kind of even buy them depending on how much they cost. Like y'all just show love on the eggs or we split it in some kind of way. I want to have some type of food source that is not dependent on me going to the store, like, you know, eggs and maybe potatoes or something like that. But I ain't canning no food, and at least not right now. I don't see it. Oh, Ben, everything is around here. I see somebody responding to him. Paycheck, I meant to Go Power Plus. Yeah, I followed you. I thought I read it wrong in my brain, but I was like, they're probably talking about the Go Power Plus. Queen, what's happening? I'm a new subscriber. Thanks for always sharing. You're welcome. Thank you for subscribing and watching and commenting and liking videos and all that jazz. Oh, every now and then someone in the group or someone in the chat suggests that y'all like the video or thumbs up the video. You should do that, but not for me. I don't really care, honestly. It broadcasted the live out to more people because YouTube sees that as a signal that you are enjoying the content. So if you care about your fellow man, then thumbs up the video or don't. Delgado says, I can steal my Go Power, but can't connect it to the 50. I don't follow that. I think autocorrect may have gotten the best of us there. Toby, I don't plan to power my entire house. I just want to be able to power my freezer, internet, charging little devices, and some lights. Gotten says, what do you think about the power bin? That's a good question. So the power bin is a USB battery. It's like I think it's kind of like the future, but one, costs too much, and two, it's not really implemented well. I wish Hobotech did like a short video on that one, because that video is dumb long. I almost want to watch the video again, but I don't watch it because it's so long. You know what I mean? I don't want to make the time. I can't say I don't have the time, but I don't want to make the time to watch that. So what I look at that as is the future of portable power banks, things that are super powerful, that can power your laptop and many other things via USB-C. The stuff is incredible, but I'm not, they talk about people being on the cutting edge. I'm not into that power bin cutting edge, especially from a financial perspective. And I like my devices and everything that I buy to be really good quality and very polished. Hey, you coming to hang out. The missus is coming to hang out. So we're going to stop talking about solar now.
Whatever. I'm here to enjoy.
Thank you, Rappy Daddy. Am I saying that right? Rappy Daddy? Rapey. I'm just going to stop right there. My brain, man. My brain. Happy Wife says, I want chickens, but Hub says no. I get it, man.
I actually asked Dame, Big Dame, and Dina, and she said Little Dame probably would say yeah.
Okay, my wife is saying that my neighbor's son would probably be okay with raising chickens. He's into like animals and stuff like that. So I was like, I wonder if he would be into that. We could figure it out. I want to figure it out. 2% says hooray with 3 exclamation points. MJ says yay to you, babe, with all your presents and all that. People are excited. She's being weird. The Blood Gaze says, I've said solar saves just pennies, but they are my pennies. But here's the question. What is it worth when no one has power? Yeah. Keeps buffering. Oh, the infamous buffer. It's not my internet. That's for sure. Happy Wife says hello with a big heart.
Yeah, my girl. Hey,
my internet is right in the next room, and we good money here with the Fios and all that jazz. Karma Lee says, I'm having problems with my Blue at the EB72. I banned everything. I thought there was something wrong. Joe I posted the measurements on the OP solar fan, the O-Polar fan. Thank you. I read those comments, Brother Joe. And I also appreciated your observation on my video about chemistry. So I talked about that earlier in the live. Now, the O-Polar fan, I think one of your numbers had a misplaced decimal. So I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but I'm going to go back and check it. If you could go back and check it to make sure it's good money, that was cool, because I will buy one of those fans ASAP Ferg if they're using that little power and they're big like that, because my fan is about that small. I mean, y'all saw the video. If I could get one of those 7 or 8 inch fans and they use less than 10 watts, that'd be perfect. I think Byron or Dennis was curious about a fan as well that used about 10 watts. Because right now, that fan that I have, it's so small, it uses like 5 watts. So if I could get up to 10 watts, that'd be great. Queen says, no buffering here. Paycheck, it's really regulated and depends on where you live. I can only raise 4 chickens on my property on a half acre. That's interesting how they regulate stuff like that. This stuff is off the chain. I know, right? Nicole Fleming. Hey, Nicole. Joe Trott is talking about the O Polar fan, I guess from Amazon, and he's saying it uses 0.1 amps on low and 0.5 amps on high. Okay, I got you. So what's the natural voltage? Is that a 12 volt device or a wall? I think it's 12 volt. Byron says I have one that is 9-inch USB. It was probably you, Byron, that we were talking about that. We can have chickens but no roosters? Although someone in the neighborhood has at least one. Why? I guess the sound, maybe? 5 volts from USB. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to look at those O Polar. I hope I'm saying it right. Fans. Came to win. EB70 or EcoFlow River Pro. Both. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but if you can hide from neighbors and they won't, okay. So the EB70, the EcoFlow River Pro, I think it depends, man. They both are really good devices. In one of my videos, I talked about it in a couple videos. One of my videos, I thought the EcoFlow Pro was LiFepo. That's the only thing I hopefully got wrong in that video, but my thoughts there hold true. I would get both. If I had to really pick, it's tough. It's tough because I have a different set of values. My values may not be your values. I go for longevity. And for the quick charge and all that jazz, I have the EcoFlow River base model. That's why I got it. It has all the capabilities of the EcoFlow Pro, just not the capacity for the most part. I think the EcoFlow Pro charges faster, but they both meet with that 90 minutes full charge threshold. So, I like both. B3 says he just watched Hobotech's last 2 reviews. Which interests you more, the AC200 Max or the EcoFlow Delta Pro? If money was no issue, the Pro is the better device in my opinion. I'm trying to recall some of the drawbacks that he talked about in that video, and if those drawbacks matter to me. I'm not sure that they do, but I'm more impressed with the Pro. I think the AC300, it really comes down to the reviews, because I'm very not statistically information driven, but I'm performance and application and practicality driven. So yeah, I don't know. Joe Trott, my 350 watt engine star can only take in 65 watts. Is that a portable power station, Joe? That's a struggle. I have 3 devices that can only take in 60 watts. Oh, which is why I wanted to, another topic I wanted to talk about. There are some devices that I'm interested in. It's 100 pounds, Eddie T says. Yeah, that's heavy. I posted a question on Bloody's video asking if the barrel plug can input solar. They have not replied. I'm curious about that as well. It would be nice if it could. I can't see why it wouldn't. The AC wall adapter, because it's a power brick, is just changing it to DC. So why wouldn't it be able to work? And the AC adapter is rated high because of the 8 amp limit. So solar has to be able to work. I can't imagine any situation where solar wouldn't work on that. If the power brick is rated at 25 watts, 25 volts at 8 amps, that's solar panel range, and solar panels can't even get that high. So you should be able to. Somebody said Jason Noyd put out his video today, so I'm sure he talked about it. I hope he talked about it. He's a pretty thorough cat, so I would check that. Cow dog connoisseur. I'm gonna have to start. I'm gonna call you CC. I can't just call you cow dog. That seems. There are actually. Anyway, my brain. So there are some devices that I'm curious about that I'm kind of watching. The first device that I'm watching is the OUPES. I call it the Oupes. I like that device because, first of all, it's LifePo. It's 600 some odd watts of capacity. I don't know what the inverter is, but it has to be like 500 or something like that. I don't really care. Hey, Rhea, thanks for stopping by. But I like that it can take in 100 watts. I'm basically eyeing devices that can take in at least 100 watts because I want to be able to put panels in the front of my house and to power my TV and my network terminal thing that I need for Fios. So right now, that's why I'm using the Rock Pals, because of all my small portable power stations, it's the one that can take in the highest charge, but it's the one with the oldest technology. So I'm also looking into this thing called the WattFun, Silver Stacks, if he's still around. He's the one who put me on that. And I was like, it's not available right now, but it was $199, and I think they were playing around with the price. They had it like listed at $265 with like a $40 coupon. It went out of stock though, but I'm stuck at $199. If I saw that thing right now for $199, I'd be very compelled to get it. There's another situation that I have with my man who knows who he is, where that could possibly solve my situation, depending on how that works out. But I'm also looking at that one, the WattFun. To be honest, I thought about buying an AC30S again, an AC30 again, but I won't. I thought about it though, because it reportedly or supposedly can take in 150 watts of solar. So that's a good, just pass through power. That's all I want it for. The sun's out, give me that 80 watts from that panel. Give me that 77 watts, that 75 watts from that panel. Jason Oy also did a review on the I'm gonna call it the Bibene. It's Bibene, 500 watt. That one also charges at 100 watts of power, and it is also LifePo. The Oupes is LifePo. The WattFun is LifePo. And what you shaking your head at?
People fighting in the grocery store.
Okay, I don't want to know about that. What's the other one? The Oupes is LifePo. The Bibene is LifePo, and the WattFun is LifePo. All of those things are LifePo. I'm watching them, just kind of paying attention to the prices and the coupon deals and so on and so forth. It's the chemistry that can last 1,000 to 2,000 charge cycles instead of 500. Typically 2,000 though. Also, the GoLabs R150. Shout out to T and Frank. He did a couple videos on his channel. One of his videos was about the R150, the R150. I had been eyeing that because I think it's the perfect way to spend $130 on a power station. It's listed at $199. They have a $70 coupon on it basically perpetually. Sometimes it goes away. Most times it's there. I just realized because of his video, T and Frank, that it's modified sine wave. I don't know why that didn't register to me that it was modified sine wave, but that kind of sucks just a little bit. But for $130, I'm okay with that. The Bibenes is off the chain because they still cost $130, and that device should be $99. They're off the chain for that. The R150 is a much better way to spend $150. It has a better screen. It has USB-C power delivery. The Bibenes has no such feature. It only has those old school USB ports. Does the R150 have a cigarette lighter port? Because the Bibenes does not. Let me check real quick. Here's the page right here. It does not. You need an adapter for it. So it's tie. The Bibenes has a flashlight, and the R120 or the GoLabs has a little lamp, LED on the side. So I like that better. It's the perfect way to spend $130. I think Miss Beverly got one. But that modified sine wave is interesting. I don't plug my monitors or my TVs into modified sine wave inverters because I want my stuff to last and I don't want it to damage it. But I do use it with computers and cell phones because they typically have power brick that hopefully the capacitors helps to clean up that energy a little bit, because modified sine wave is blocky. It tries to mimic pure sine wave, which is what we get from the wall, which is a smoother way of delivering electricity. Modified sine wave it's an imitation basically. And some devices are sensitive to that, and it can not just burn them out, but a lot of times it can cause them it can shorten their lifespan. So it's like you have no way of knowing that. So I don't take the risk. I don't take the risk at all. Jungle Weed, I don't recognize the name. Welcome to the live. I want to use solar for a place that doesn't get good internet. I have been seeing tutorials. Thanks, ICANN, for your generosity. I appreciate that. I've seen tutorials of people programming their power station with an app. Is there a system that you don't need an app? Interesting. Okay, that's fine. Cedric says modified sine wave is fake AC. Okay, I don't know if that helps people a whole lot, but I get you. Jungle Weed. Okay, let me go at it like this. The EcoFlow app, it doesn't need internet. I mean, you need internet to get it, but once you turn on you press the IoT button on the EcoFlow, then it broadcasts its own Wi-Fi hotspot, and your phone connects to that Wi-Fi hotspot and allows you to manage the device. Now, whether you need internet to first get the app, yes, I think you're going to need internet to get an email to put in your email address, which is that's gross that they required you to do that. But you should not need internet to do that, because it has nothing to do with the internet to connect the phone and the power station together. So when your phone is connected to the EcoFlow River, that's the only one I have, so I can only talk about that one. Internet is not involved at all. EcoFlow app can connect directly via Wi-Fi to the solar generator. Delta Pro can connect via Bluetooth. That's cool. Thanks for that insight. The question is, what can you do with, like, for example, the Roku doesn't necessarily need internet, but if you don't have internet, it's pretty much useless. Oh, I'm running out of power. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? I came prepared though. All these power stations I got. Oh, it's the GoLabs too. Let me show y'all. I like this device. It has its quirks, but this device is the homie. What are your thoughts on a Dokio 300 watt solar panel? I don't have a good impression. Huh? Oh, I don't have a good impression of the Dokio brand. And that's only because the dude in the ambulance, I forget what his name is. I don't necessarily care either. Not about him as a person, but just I don't care about his name. Thug Life. He did a video a long time ago when I was first getting into solar, and I didn't like the quality of it. The build was really flimsy. I mean, extremely flimsy. So Dokio kind of has a bad taste in my mouth because of that. Joe Tra says, I used my 300 watt Dokio this morning, but the engine star I plugged in could only use 65 watts. Okay. If you watched it, hopefully you guys that are here have watched the video about the portable power station buying advice. That talks about this idea of, laughing at you, MJ, that talks about this idea of buying a power station that has a good solar charging input that kind of matches the capacity of the battery, because otherwise it'll take you too long to charge it. That was the biggest issue that people had with those Jackeries charging at 42 watts. It's like Will gave them a very hard time, and much deserved, on those bigger ones, because you couldn't use the power if you were on the road, because if you use the power the next day, you couldn't charge it all the way back up. So you would be perpetually running at a deficit because you would use more power than the device could take in over a full Sunday. Can't the GoLabs 204 handle a 100 watt? A 100 watt what? The GoLabs 204 is not as interesting a purchase for me, because the GoLabs R150 is typically on sale for $199. So the 204 is kind of like in a odd middle ground. But I was looking at the 204 today, from GoLabs, and it has I think something about it seems better. I think it has 2 USB-C power delivery ports. That's a downside of the 150. The R150, which is when you are charging it from solar, the USB-C port it doesn't work. So that sucks. That kind of like gave me some real cause for pause there. But I don't think most people will necessarily be impacted by that or affected by that. It does suck though. If I ever did a video on it, I would talk about that. What are your questions about the WattFun 300? I had one for a couple of months. I don't necessarily really have any questions. I wanted to go down to first be available. Thank you, ICANN. I wanted to first be available, and then I like it for $199. But the only reason why I'm thinking about that is because I don't have any device that I could put at the front of my house that can take in 100 watts or more. That's really the only reason. And it's LifePo, that makes it more appealing. And it has a USB-C port that makes it more appealing. But according to my advice, that USB-C port is not input. So that sucks. I have very specific situations where my charging scenarios get real interesting and annoying. And I just want them to be able to charge via USB-C both in and from solar. I like to have that. And I make compromises when I'm making purchases, but it's good to have it. That wackery, that thing is just, yeah. It does what I bought it for, at least for now, but it's off the chain. Did I miss anybody's questions? Brother R, what's happening? Have you been using the Agwe panels? Thoughts? I have not been. Yeah, I used them. I have been using them. I don't use them a whole lot because what I have to do is I have to lay them out in my grass, and I don't want bugs and stuff getting all on them. And my rigid panels are taking up a lot of space. So right now I'm trying to figure out how can I use it in my backyard so that because it's a trifold, which I really like about that. I don't want a quad fold panel or a four-way fold. That's too much to manage. I feel like I love Jackery's style of that clamshell. I think To Go Power has a 60 watt clamshell that I'm interested in. I won't go. I don't know if I'll go 60 watts because I just got the Sun Power. For anybody who missed it, I got the 50 watt Sun Power. These are some of the best sales in the solar market. It was sold by Expert Power. Sun Power doesn't sell this stuff directly. It was 50 watts. It cost me $85. That was a bit much. It was a bit much. I already said my piece about how I was able to come by this earlier. I won't do it again. But the reason why I thought 85 watts was okay is because 50 watt panels, they'll cost like $69. And it's just like, it should be $50. I think the HQST is the only one that's close to $1 per watt hour. So I have to find a way to use it more. I thought about pulling it out today for sure. But when I put it, because that one's going to live in my house. So putting it out in the grass, I don't want like snails and stuff getting on it and stuff like that. And then having to pull it into the house. We do have snails. When I leave my rigid panels out in the front grass, they have snails on them, slugs. I'm sorry, not snails, slugs. That's the same thing. A slug is just a snail without a shell on it, right? That's science. I'm yeah, I went to public school. I don't know. Kristen asked, does your GoLabs R300 hold its charge? Mine has been dropping 2% and 3% per week. Okay, Kristen. Yeah. Kristen. I don't know. Kristian. Christian. Okay, boom. Well, I could ask her, hey, what's happening? So the thing about the GoLabs that I've come to notice, and also with the EB70 in some ways, you have to fully charge them and then fully discharge them. And you guys should be doing that every now and then anyway, maybe like every 6 months or so. It's the same thing. I think it's the same thing with your phone. They say do a full charge every now and then. So maybe that's why your percentage is off, because some people have noted that when they, I forget his name, Scott Roussan or something like that. When he pulled his out of the box, he just started using it. And he noticed, like, as soon as he pulled it out of the box, the percentage was like higher, and then it just gradually kind of sagged down. And I think that's because he didn't properly calibrate it by doing a full charge, discharge, full charge. I'll make a video about that, hopefully this week, about, you know, the first steps you should do when you get your power station. A says, what's happening? Just came in from outdoors after getting these seeds dropped. Hey, man, look, somebody got to do it. I wish you were around here so I could buy your food from you. I'll hang in to catch the replay. That's what's up, man. Thug life. You can attract slugs by... Joe tried saying you can attract slugs by burying a coffee can to the rim and putting an inch or two of beer in it. The beer attracts the slugs and they will fall in and drown. I don't want to go off on that, but I watched a video about rodents that was quite similar. I don't want to have that problem to be able to solve it, but these bees though, I want them all wasp. I want them all dead. I want them all dead. But anyway, Ardigraph, I think sun power is the way to go. Will they set up in parallel? Yes, they will. I thought about that too, but it's like, I would almost prefer to have two of these panels in parallel than one 100 watt panel because of the flimsy nature of the 100 watt panels. This thing is pretty it's pretty rigid. Whereas like that 100 watt, hopefully y'all see that. That 100 watt version of these, they kind of like bend in the middle and you can't just lean them up against something. You have to lean them up against something and something has to be in the middle to brace them as well, or they're just curved like this. And I'm not a fan of that. One, it looks gross. I don't like it. I don't like it at all, man. Paycheck says the beer trick does work. I do it in my garden. That's what's up. Wasps are the devil. Oh, thank you for the asterisk, Brother Joe. Brother Joe called them female dogs with wings. What? Female dogs. You know, the word for a female dog. Oh. Yeah, there you go. Victoria says, no, keep the bees, please. Yeah, I respect that. I respect the bees, kinda. Just not here. Not the wasp, though, and the yellow jackets. That's not what they're different, right? Kill all of them. What's the weight? I don't think it'll be on this label, Brother R. It's less than 5 pounds, though. I think it's like 2 point something. This is really light. I really like this. My goal for this is to see what kind of input it gets through a window, because I think it's going to be worst science ever. That's what I'm all about. Worst everything. I think it may be a saving grace for some people in apartments. I mean, being in an apartment is a tough situation. I mean, it just is. It just is. But I'm trying to figure something out. I feel like you could put this panel up in the window pretty easily. You're not going to get the full sun, but hopefully it'll give you something. What are the best portable panels, as in best quality, most watts? Portable, like folding panels, or folding rigid, or folding, what are they called? They're just folding panels. Like the Agwe, I don't know. Brother Wayne, I think he got some rock pals on sale. I feel like any solar panel, for the most part, I mean, just within reason, is good as long as you get it at a good price. Folding solar panels or portable solar panels typically are $2 per watt. I'm not a fan of that. I don't need portability, at least not at this juncture in my life. So I like the $1 per watt kind of range. I keep hearing about the 12/7 120. I think All in the Soil has one too. Just not set in place ones. I don't know the terminology. Allison got some rich solar panels, 200 watts, that have the stand built in. They're rigid, but they have the stand built in, and I think they fold in some capacity. I'm not sure, but today is a day of salvation. That's quite a name. New sub, Lad Former sent me. Thanks for stopping by.
What today is a day of salvation? That's a long name.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I did the full charge, discharge, recharge twice. I also have the EV240, the EV70, and the AC50S. None of them have dropped their charge. Now, the interesting thing about all those devices you named, that none of them are LifePo. A Gilbert says, I love the folding Rich Solar 100 watt panel. Rich Solar, man, I like their panels. I'm impressed with what they're doing. I actually reached out to them today to see about the 200 watt panel and maybe some other devices and to see how we can work together. I don't know if I have enough subs for them to respect me as a man, but I don't know. I reached out to them. We'll see what they say. Ken says, wasps were horrible. My son left his giant water gun outside and forgot about it, and they made a home on it. They're terrible. Man. Don't be looking up like that, fam. You know how we built.
I saw something over there.
She probably about to run. If she run, you know what the code is for my melanated brothers and sisters. If somebody runs, we run.
We'll ask questions.
The WattFun 300 USB-C output only, but if you're looking to get the WattFun 300 because of the 100 watt solar input, check out the Kusla 300 for $179. Yeah, but is it LifePo though? Welcome back, Ben. Everything. If I get to Delta, what's up, neighbor? If I get to Delta in the river, Dame?
I think he's on his motorcycle.
All right, we got you. The rigid panels are designed for permanent outdoor installation. They're tough. Yes, indeed. That's why I want them. And they're cost effective too. Paycheck says, I haven't taken my Rich Solar out of the box yet, but I hope it has a stand on it. That is, that's not good, Paycheck. I hope it has what you want too. Byron says he has a Zamp solar charger, 200 watts. They cost $1,200. They don't have rusting problems. I see what's going on with you, Byron. You balling. That's what's going on there. KP, what's happening, man? Good to see you, brother. KP has it's a variety channel, but he does solar on it. He has the Blue Eddy AC 200P. He has the EB70. Yeah, check him out. Oh, Gary says the Kusla is LifePo. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Hey, Allison. The briefcase panels, that's what they're called. Thank you. Thank you so much. MJ says you can take 2 wooden sticks and prop them against the back upper edge of the, you know what's interesting about that? So look, you run, we run all day. Our Caucasian brothers and sisters, but you guys can stand to learn from us, which is, it's a stereotypical thing to say, and it's a generalization, but I don't mind generalizations. They're okay with me. This lady, she had a fly name on a TEDx talk. She said, the problem with stereotypes is not that they aren't true, but is that they are not all encompassing or something like that. It was a fly way she said it. And I was like, that's it right there. All in the soul says, I look behind myself when you look behind yourself.
That's hilarious.
I'm done. That was good. Oh my gosh. My gosh. That's why I rock with you all in the soul, man. You need to start making videos. That name is perfect. Wanna be a, don't make me, I was singing that song like 2 weeks ago. Ban everything. Shout out to you, man. I dig it. You should do that song on your channel. That'll shock all the people who watch your videos. Hey, Love Notes. Good to see you. Joe Trot. Yep. Nice. Wayne knows KB. KP. That was good. Thank you so much, Benta. I done missed the super chat messing around with you all in the soul. That was a good one. Good job, sir. Oh, Maria. So MJ is saying that she could prop 2 pieces of wood. Interestingly enough, I have been trying to find ways. That song is catchy. I've been trying to find some ways to incrementally adjust my panels ever so slightly, or have them kind of low and then kind of have them high. You know what came to mind? You ever see those little, if you watch any of the Alaskan shows, you should know this, but they have those house jacks, and just a jack in general, but they put those things, those little pistons under a house to lift up large loads, and they have to pump them and pump them and pump them. There are car jacks that do that. I mean, there's the old school car jacks, but there are these triangular ones that do that as well. And I was like, you know what? That would be cool if I had some of those to kind of like put a panel on. It has grooves on it, so it would kind of like the panel would be able to sit on it pretty good and raise it up. One of my homeboys, Esquire, he has this Facebook, and I don't know if he does YouTube, but it's called the Black Tea Brown Sugar Network. They have like shows and stuff like that. He gave me 2 of those jacks. So I have 2 of those in my basement, but because I don't care as much right now, I'm just not being bothered with them. But he gave me those. They could kind of raise up and lower down. I have to test them out to see how they work. I don't think they go that tall though, but that's how my brain works in terms of like, what do I have around my house, or what can I buy that I can repurpose to put these panels on so that they can be adjustable. The thing about the 2 pieces of wood is that's pretty static. And I don't like I'm not saying it's permanent, but it's like you got to put it there and then you just kind of leave it be or adjust it. MJ says, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Hey, mama. You coming out here smiling at me? How dare you? You rude, just like your mommy. The jacks are a good idea. I know, right? I just don't, I guess, I don't know how, well, I mean, if you ever took a panel and took it from flat to like an ever so slight tilt to meet the sun, the power is substantial. I mean, like it jumps. It'll go from like 20 watts to like 42, or if it's at 60 or 54, it'll jump up to like 70 something. So it is, yeah, Ulysses said sounds like jack stands. That's probably what it's called. Don't Hurt the Harvest. That's a good name. What are your thoughts on the Progeny portable power station? Yeah. I don't know if I would call these. I feel like yeah, gardeners. 300 watt, 299 watt hours. I only have $300 to spend. Okay. I've never looked into the Progeny. Here's the thing about those devices that are kind of like off the beaten path, which is what I call these devices that I mentioned earlier in the live. It's like, why take the risk if you could buy something that's more mainstream for the same amount of money? I don't think it's worth it. Now, you could take the risk for a $500 device that is on sale with a $200 coupon to get you down to $349. You know what I mean? Like, and then you could take the risk there. I would take the risk for the 600 watt hours of capacity. I wouldn't spend $300 on 300 watt hours from a name brand that nobody knows or trust. I wouldn't do that. But if I had $300 to spend right now, I love the GoLabs R150. It has its quirks. It's $299, typically on sale for $199. It's out of stock right now, possibly because of the Hobotech video. And it's lifepo. That's why I like it. If you absolutely, I mean, $300, if you could get an EcoFlow, you could get an EcoFlow. So that's what I mean. Like, you could buy EcoFlow for $299 or $349 with a $50 off coupon. It's not lifepo, but it's one of the best portable power stations you can buy. It's super capable. It takes 200 watts in. I'm not going to repeat it. I have a video about it earlier where I'm kind of sitting on some steps talking about it. You could do Ask Out Solar, EcoFlow River, and you should be able to find it. The thumbnail it's a bit trash, but you know, the content is good, hopefully. The EcoFlow River is the best way to spend $300, in my opinion. It's the best way to do it. You can't beat 200 watts of input. You can't be charging up in 90 seconds. You can't beat the fact that it has an application that can control it, or the screen is popping on it, or the fact that it comes with everything you need. It doesn't need a power brick to charge. You can just use a typical computer cable. So if you lose that cable, so what? You just grab something from a monitor and charge it up. It outputs 600 watts of power from the inverter. That means you could only run whatever you have for about a half hour, much less, maybe like 20, 22 minutes if you run something that's 600 watts. It surges up to 1200 watts. It's just a super capable device. Okay, the EB70 is a great power station, but pay attention to the display. At 50%, it shows 0% charge. That's interesting. I mean, that's your device, ban everything. Everybody's device don't bug out like that. The more expensive panels hold the panel. The more expensive panels holds the panel at an angle. Briefcase. Okay. Victoria says the general consensus I'm hearing is that the EcoFlow is killing it out here. So the question is, ideally best to get the River and the Delta with 4 panels, maybe 100 watt. Here's my thing about the 100 watt panels. I'm kind of over them. The 200 watt panels are not that much more expensive. You could get a new power. They have a 210. They also have a 200. You could get the Bourgeois V180. You could get Rich Solar has a 200. They have a 170. They have a 150, I believe. It's just I like when I first got into solar, I wanted one panel to power the power station. That's kind of was my goal. That's an oversimplification these days with like as you get into bigger power stations, but a 200 watt panel on my EcoFlow. I actually came this close to buying a 200 watt panel. Just depending on whether or not something else will work out or not. I wanted to spend that money to simplify my solar off panel setup. But I don't know. I wouldn't buy 2 100 watt panels. They literally cost the same price. The Renogy's are like 103, 97 sometimes. I've seen them as low as 89. The Rich Solar, they're playing around with the price right now. It's 220, but it's been as low as 209. Actually, Wayne told me that Hobotech's code is active again, so it'll probably drop it down to 209. I would just get the 200 watt panel. They're smaller than 2 100 watt panels, the square HQST panels, and the narrow Renogy panels. They're a little wider than the Renogy panels, but watch my Rich Solar video, the one with the box on it. That one, I mean, I go 200 watts. Somebody in my comments said that I see you, Stacks. Somebody in my comments said that they had a 300 watt 12 volt. I was like, oh, I didn't know that those existed in the rigid form, but I have yet to see them. I haven't looked at them because I don't want to spend $300 on no panel. That panel would be huge. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. It wouldn't be. I guess it wouldn't be that bad. Stacks asked about 12 or 24 volt. Well, none of my power stations right now can take 24 volt. I don't know if there's a benefit to getting a 24 volt. I guess with a 24 volt panel, your amps can be, okay, I'm gonna make sense of this in my mind. I see a 24 volt panel as being more ideal because the amps are lower, and the amps are the things that you need the bigger cables for. So if you're doing a DIY situation, I can see a 24 volt panel being better because you don't have to push as much power through the cable via amps. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. YT for me. I just noticed your like a couple of chats ago what your icon is doing, YT, which I think is dope. It says all in this all got me screaming. It was a good moment. Joe tried to say get 12 volt panels. Open circuit voltage is typically 21 to 22 unless you know your power station can accept a higher voltage. Yeah, most power stations, especially on the smaller, more inexpensive side, are gonna be limited at about 28 volts. And that's the range for 12 volts. 12 volt is a range typically. It's not a static voltage. Stack says the 12 volt Rich Solar panel is $199. Which one? The briefcase one or the 200 watt? Because if I see it anywhere at $199, they can have 200 of my dollars right now. Oh, okay, I feel you, man. The only problem is that it is inexpensive. Are you voice chatting with us, Byron? Are you voice typing when want 400 watt panels? All right, let's see here. What time is it? 7:42. I talked about the power stations. Get the devices that I mentioned. Yeah, we good money. We good to go. We've covered my notes, so all that's left is if y'all have questions. Refurbished is all right. I don't know if I will buy refurbished, but it depends on the warranty. Did you see that on their site, Stacks? You're right. Ban Everything says 200 watt panels cost at least $200. That's right. But two 100 watt solar panels cost around $160. The $80 ones, the HQST ones. I think the rich solar ones are the ones that have the form factor of Renogy now. They didn't used to. Rich solar panels, and they're actually still out there. They used to be square. But now I think they have the narrow, taller ones. But they're not 160. If they were 160, I would have felt played for buying a Renogy, because Rich Solar, in the few videos that I've seen from Will Prowse, they typically outperform the Renogy, but they have the same exact build and whatever. So, but I looked at a set. The set was like 190 for two 100. I think it was like 189. But if the Rich Solar, if the Rich Solar panels are less than the Renogy panels, then I would check those out. Paycheck says I paid $222 for the Rich 200. That's about what I paid. I think I may have had I got it for like $189 because it was on sale from Hobotech. All right. If anybody asks a question that didn't get answered, please copy and paste it so I can see it. On a side note, I bought a battery-powered lawnmower by Makita. It was $399. It came with 4 batteries, and I'm sending it back. I was disappointed with it, but I love the idea of being able to cut my grass from solar. And my corded lawnmower from Greenworks died. If my corded lawnmower didn't stop working, I wouldn't have made the plunge. I talked with my wife about possibly doing that, but as long as it was working, I wouldn't have done it. But it died on me, so I had to buy another lawnmower. Joe Try says, too bad you and Lead Farmer don't live in East Tennessee. Victoria says, how many should I get of the 200 watt to couple to the river and Delta? Which Delta? Because the first Delta can only take in 400 watts, which is not a fan of that. That's the thing. Wayne was telling me about the Ego too, but he's never used it. He just has one. But I heard the dude Ricky from 2-Bit Da Vinci, he was talking about how he had an Ego power tool, and his neighbor was like, I bet you it's not better than my gas one. And he said his Ego power tool smoked his neighbors. But okay. Let me go back to your question, Victoria. She said she hadn't bought one yet. So how many should I get of the 200 watt coupled to the river and Delta? Okay. The rivers can only take in 200 watts. So I wouldn't buy more than 200 watts for the river. The Delta can take 400 watts. So I feel like in theory, you could just get two 200 watt panels. So yeah, that pretty much answers that. Paycheck says you have to be fast with the electric mowers. What do you mean? Like physically moving? I don't know. Is that old logic or is that current logic? The Delta Max, I believe. I don't know much about the Delta Max. I kind of ignored it because Jehu did a video on it, and the Delta Max is a good device. But it's not on my radar necessarily because it's not LifePo. So I have to be very compelled to buy a device that's not LifePo. If it's just a new device, because I don't need something that's lighter. But if you think about it, that EcoFlow Delta Max, I think it's less than 50 pounds. Somebody knows in here, they'll be able to tell you. But the EcoFlow Pro is 100 pounds. So, real life. I know, right? I don't even know where I would put it. It would probably have to be on the first floor. We use so little power, man. It's so crazy that those devices would kind of be overkill in that instance. But for a long duration, they're perfect. Can you reach me my water, please, babe? Thank you. I think I talked to you, Joe Trot. You said the Ego lawnmower is supposed to be decent. I'm so picky, man. It has to be dope. I want it to be dope. I ran into a problem where the lawnmowers didn't have the side discharge. And the crazy part is the only reason why I need the side discharge is because sometimes I let my grass grow too high, and that's the only way you can manage it is by going out the side because it's just too hard to cut otherwise. So it's just me being a procrastinator, basically.
Problem solved. Sorry.
Freaking rookie. Just go. Just go. Go. Get out of here. Which EcoFlow high device would you recommend? Before it dies on you, the battery doesn't last long. Yeah, I don't have a big yard, though. That's why I have a corded lawnmower. So it's like my yard is not huge. I feel like I'm still not getting that right. I know of a guy with a big lawn. Those things can cut like for 45 minutes. And then that's why I got the Makita, because it had all the batteries. And I cut my little yard. I have a front and a backyard. I don't know about square footage. I never absorbed that information in high school. So, I feel like battery power is perfect for me. It's like, bruh, that lawnmower that I had, the Greenworks, was a 13 amp lawnmower. So it pretty much used 1500 watts. I love the idea of being able to cut my grass without using that 1500 watts for that hour. I just think that that's dope, especially since my lawnmower died. Might as well go battery power and cut my grass from the sun. Come on, man. You can't ask for nothing better. Thanks, Wayne. Wayne says the Delta Max weighs 48 pounds. And also, I love LifePo because I'm just value oriented, but lithium ion or whatever it is that they use, it only goes to 80% faster. I still haven't done that math, but if you do that math, I mean, you get an extra, with LifePo, you get an extra 20% for a longer time. It's like, at the end of the day, like, outside of me and how I'm wired, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you get 200 watts extra for 5 years, and then you go down to 80% too. It's like, who cares? On a 1,000-watt device, you go down to 800 watts quicker. And of course, you don't get 800 watts on paper because of the BMS and all that jazz, but I don't know that it matters all that much, but I'm value oriented. I want the best for my money. And it's almost dogmatic. I think pragmatic is the one where you can dogmatic is very rigid. It's almost dogmatic. Like I want to get the best value for my money, point blank period, all the time. Oh man, what happened? Something happened with ban everything? Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Victoria, did I answer your questions? Did you have any follow-up ones? Okay, Kristen says, I agree with you about the 200-watt panel, but I also like that if something happens to one panel, I still have a 100-watt to work with. Uh, that's a compelling point, but Ulysses, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you hanging out. If something happened to my, it's like I guess it's it's an extra $100. I'm not trying to be flippant about that money at all. I'm not even built that way, but um, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like enjoy the benefits. Don't live in the what if. But you gotta be you. You know what your life is like. If you mess around by a 200-watt panel, and a month later a freaking hailstorm comes through and breaks them. But it probably would have broke both of them. You know what I mean? So, but you gotta do what you gotta do for you. Stacks, what's happening? That's the name. That's the name. Okay, hold on. If the core slash adapter I need to run 3 panels, I can look it up or I can ask you. Oh, what's the name of the cord adapter I need to run 3 panels in series? I don't think you need anything to run 3 panels in series. You only need the wires of the solar panels themselves. Yeah, I see you corrected it. Yes, I feel like, yeah, Stacks, you good money. I mean, you just run panel to panel. Male to female, male to female, male to female. You end up with 2 males and females. Your extension runs out, or your cable runs out to your power station, or your charge controller, and you good money. Now to run 3 panels in parallel, you need a parallel cable or a branch connector or a Y cable. And Bouge RV sells them. They do come in 3s, but I think I've seen them in 4s. And I have 2 that are in 2, which I can't use together. That's not how the whole parallel thing works. But what section of Walmart are people finding the Go Power Plus in? I don't know. If somebody has a Go Power Plus, tell us what section it was in. When I went to my Walmart, this was much after the craze. I checked automotive. I checked the sports area. I even checked the lights. I checked the fan area. I kind of walked around and looked at end caps and stuff like that. But I didn't expect it to be there. But you just never know. You might find something in the clearance section, and that'd be right what you're looking for. Will Prouse has referred a 250-watt solar panel for only $55 by Santan. I plan on getting a couple of them. The thing about that, Karma, is you either have to drive to get them or you have to have them shipped. And I think the interesting thing about that, or the peculiar thing about that, is once you order 2, the shipping cost will be the same whether you get 2 or 10. So I wish I was close enough to be able to drive out there and get one or 2. But I don't have power stations that could use them anyway. But just $50. I mean, I get 2 and put them in my garage and just hold on to them. MJ says automotive is the section where the Go Power Plus, where she found it, I assume. And Joe Try echoes the same thing that I said. Dennis, what's going on, man? If you put up 1,000-watt arrays, that's 10 100-watt panels. I don't know who you're answering. B3 Outdoors. I like to see an EB100, 1,000 with all the upgrades your reviewers have mentioned. That would be good. The funny thing is the Bluetti EB, they have a smaller one, but it's just nothing's appealing about it. Or they had one for a while. I think it was like the EB. It may have been the EB100 actually. It was like an 800-watt capacity. It was really nice looking, but the specs just weren't there. B3. When you gonna make some new videos, man? I checked out your channel. It's cool when the viewers have channels. The people who come and have channels. You get to put a voice and possibly a picture or face with them. Joe Try says the GPP, that's what I call it. The Go Power Plus was going for my 2 local China marts. I call Walmart Big China, which in some ways is insulting to China. When I said it out loud on one of these lives, I was like, you know what? That's a little insulting. To Oh, Kimber Jack said she just got a Go Power Plus today in automotive for $40. What you say? You gonna make these people go out to Walmart? That's crazy. Sometimes you'll find them in the camping section, says Paycheck. Coworker had an Ego lawnmower, hilly terrain, and likes it. Might be next year's birthday. Nice, Allison. That would be cool. So my problem with the lawnmowers is that I can't find what I'm looking for in the price range that I'm looking for. I wanted to spend like $300, but still get a decent one or a nice one. But so what will happen is they won't have side discharge. You know what I mean? Or then when you go up $100, then it's self-propelled. I don't want self-propelled. So I feel like, why can't you just make one with all the things that I need, not self-propelled, for $299? Like, why don't you do that? I don't know. And the Makita was uncomfortable. The bar, you press the button and then you pull the bar down. The bar on it is too big. It's too thick. And it's holding it is work. It's a little too tense. I feel like my Greenworks was just like a gas mower. It had that thin little cheap wire that you could grab down easily. Good money. So it's not a pleasure for me to use. So it's going back. Kevin says, I bought 2 200-watt panels from Amazon used and they work great. Decent discount for like new panels. I have to understand your definition of decent, because I don't see anything in the used market that's ever blowing me away. It'll be like $10 cheaper or $15 cheaper. I'm not into that, fam. Not at all. Okay, Dennis, I connect you said as opposed to 5 200-watt panels, that would be 10 100-watt panels. I don't know who you were talking to, but I get it. VM, what's happening? I couldn't find a Go Power in store. Had ordered on Amazon. The first never charged, but the seller sent another one out. Yeah, that was tough, man. Just that whole situation with the Go Power Plus, because people start paying real coin for that thing, and I felt bad. That's kind of why I don't make it a point to make these videos about like what you should buy and shouldn't buy, because everybody's pockets ain't my pockets, everybody's standards ain't my standards. So I feel like I want you to make the best informed decision for you. You know what I mean? I can make suggestions and all that jazz, but I do my best to help out. But I want you to be able to figure out what it is that you need, and hopefully these videos are informative. Ego is self-propelled. Not all of them, but there's some that aren't. I'm looking at a couple right now. One's for $499. And here's another problem. I don't want to buy last year's model for the same price that I could get the current year's model for maybe a few dollars more. Kevin, thanks for the coinage, man. Salute to you. Thank you. Kimber Jack says she's in Meridian, Mississippi. Lauren, I don't recognize the name. What's happening? Thank you for stopping by. Can you help me find an extension for my Jackery 500 to the Jackery solar panel? So basically what you would need is an 8mm extension. Interestingly enough, KL, she had some that she got from, what's the expensive people? I was just talking about them earlier. Goal Zero. She had some from Goal Zero. But you just need an 8mm extension cable for your Jackery 500. Luckily, the Jackery 500 still uses standard 8mm, whereas the 1500 and 2000, they use a weird one. Somebody mentioned something about the AC 200. Okay, today is the day of salvation. I'm new to solar, don't understand series or parallel, but I plan to watch your older videos to find out. Yeah, series versus parallel is a concept that you only need to know about if your power station applies. Because if you buy a more inexpensive one, you can't put it in series anyway. Series combines the voltage and parallel combines the amps. So yeah, outside of the context of a power station that you have, then that information doesn't mean anything to you. CC says this has been a blast. Lots of laughs, lots to learn. Y'all have yourselves a blessed weekend. There you go. Not a good weekend, a blessed one. Same to you, cow dog. B3, I'm doing a cross country trip in October, going to national parks, and we'll upload a couple. Looking for a power station for the trip. That is what brought me to you. Okay, B3, I gotcha. Yeah, what are you gonna need a power station for though? Couldn't you get by with just like a folding USB panel and some USB devices? Joe Trot is like the king of USB devices. I need him to make some new videos too. All his videos are from like 3 years ago. Kenneth Sellers, yeah. I wish I could comment on how I achieved the wiring of any panels to any system as long as you know how to read a voltmeter and know the kind of power you want to use and how long and can you manage. Okay, that may be to somebody else. Oh man. Paycheck says things blew up with the Go Power Plus when Led did his video on it. I know I went right out. I went right out and bought two. Yeah, $40 is crazy. That's almost I think it's like somebody told me it's 160 watt hour capacity battery. That's less, you know what I mean? It's like 44 cents, 42 cents a watt. I was compelled. I thought about it, but I didn't need it. I wasn't going to use it. I got like 6 power stations, 7. I didn't need it. I only wanted to have it because I was curious about the solar input after a while. Carmelita says lithium ion battery power stations are still expensive. I'm still upset with Jackery. What you upset with Jackery for? I mean, there's a lot to be upset with Jackery for. That's for sure. Yeah, I doubt the Go Power. Joe Try says the Go Power Plus is unlikely to be true sign for that price. It is still worth it as a USB power bank. Yeah, that's right. It's definitely not going to be pure sine wave. Not even close. Oh, okay, cool. Lauren says, thanks for the help. 2% says she did too. I do have trouble with it too. It's like, yeah, I get it. 100%. It's like you gotta. Was it 2% or was it love notes? Somebody commented on my video and was like, "You get what you pay for," and it was like, "That's a fact." Brother T Washington, what's happening? Good to see you too, man. Go Power Plus says in stock at a nearby Walmart for $25. May have to make a trip and try and find it. That's interesting, Kevin. Miss Beverly, she saw something similar, but when she got there, I think, or when she refreshed the page or something, it went up. But good luck to you. $25. That's even better. Shoot, I'd buy like, would I buy 3 of them? No. Don't be greedy. Just buy 2. Kenneth says the hardest thing to adapt to is a sudden change in living. What do you mean, man? Are you responding to what's going on with Happy Wife and Band, everything? MJ, you got it for $25. Man, that's great. You can barely get so if you look at like Anchor or Rav Power, those devices that are 20 milliamp hours, which is basically 20 amps, 20 amps at that voltage, which I don't think they even consider that 12 volt. That's 5 volt. That stuff gets tricky. Those things would be like $60. So to have something with an outlet, a radio, and a USB ports, that's $25 is the look. Paycheck says they're having problems with their Blue Eddy 2400. Man, I like that 2400 just in theory, because what it did was it just took the 150 and expanded the battery. That may not be practical in terms of how much it cost when it came out, but that thing, man, it'll run stuff for a long time. Wayne talks about that. He has I think at least one of them. Paula, what's happening? Paula says try Walmart branded brushless. I have a mower and chainsaw. Love them. I'm sketchy on that one, Paula. I'm sketchy. Yeah, that is worse. 2% says, oh, no paycheck. I think that's worse than her having issues with an EB240. I wonder what happens in those situations, because those things are, well, I guess the 240 and the 150, because they're not lipo, they're not as heavy. So you could typically return them. But lipo devices, like, I don't know what we're going to do. I think I heard somebody say about that Blue Eddy EP500 or 5000, whatever it is, the big roll-in dialysis machine looking one. It's not a dialysis machine. What does that thing look like? Like an old school vacuum cleaner or something. It's crazy how big it is. But Jehu, in his video from many moons ago, said that they would repair it on site. That's their like return policy, quote unquote. I shouldn't say quote unquote because he didn't say that. VM says, I use the Go Power for the phones and the iPad, then gas for everything else. I'm using your channel in my own research for upcoming solar power purchase. Okay, I'm around if you have any questions. Just let me know. All right, guys, I think I'm good money. I'm appreciating y'all just hanging out and chatting. I'm debating on, so y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm debating on this video I recorded about 4 Patriots. I'm not necessarily slamming them, but I am very much critical of 4 Patriots. I haven't started editing it yet, but I'm kind of debating on whether or not I'll put it out. But I have to edit it first. Once I edit it, I'll be able to kind of know whether or not I was going hard in the paint or not. But that company is just, it's peculiar to me. Thank you so much, Zinzibel. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for thanking me. I appreciate your appreciation, especially monetarily. Joe Trott says 4 Patriots is not junk, but is severely overpriced. Severely. I didn't know how much those things cost till I think it was when Led first shared my video and told people to come and check me out. One of his viewers told me that they had one, and she was upset because she thought it was an 1800 hour capacity, but it turned out it was an 1800 hour inverter with an 800 watt hour capacity. And far be it from me to kick someone when they're down, or like, that's not what I mean, but like be like, oh man, that was terrible or something like that. But when she told me, she was like, yeah, I just got it. I just purchased it. I could send it back. I was like, you send it back? I would send that back ASAP Rocky. It was, I think she said she paid like $2,500 or something like that. That's crazy. But I am leaning towards putting the video out because I feel bad for somebody spending that much money. That is not in my mind, that's not acceptable. That's crazy amounts of money to get so little. I don't mind your stuff being expensive. I don't mind that at all. It just wouldn't be for me. But like I said, everybody's pockets ain't my pockets. Some people got that money. But that 4 Patriots it's off the chains. K Fees. Thank you. I was talking to you on your comment. Thanks for stopping by. It says, I bought the Agwe the Agwe solar panel like yours, and I just got my EcoFlow River 300 yesterday. Oh, okay, you said those won't connect. I don't, they can't work natively. What am I supposed to buy to get them to work? So here's the problem, okay? One thing I don't understand, I actually have a voltmeter. I don't understand polarity. So I'm not comfortable with buying an Anderson to XT60 because you may end up reversing the polarity in that dip. And I don't know enough about that to deal with that. And I don't know what the impacts on your device are going to be if you do that. But what you would need would be an Anderson to XT60. Amazon does sell them. They're only about $10. I don't think there's any other way to accomplish it because you can't go 5521, which is the other port on the Agwe, to XT60, at least not to my knowledge. But I'm scared to go down that route. And I also don't have the capacity to, I don't want to learn about that. It's like Ask I Solar. It's keeping solar simple. I don't want to get into buying adapters and reversing polarity and pulling out the prongs. And this one's positive and this one is negative. And when I switch them, then it shows negative. I'm not, it's too much like math for me. I'm not a fan. Also, Nature's Generator on Amazon, they're over $2,000 for AGM batteries. Oh, wow. I didn't know Nature's Generator was AGM batteries. Miss Beverly says they must have gotten them back in stock. Okay, sounds like Miss Beverly's going to make a trip. $10 isn't bad. Thanks a million for sharing your knowledge. You're welcome, Kay. Byron says, Patriot is made in the USA. That's why it costs so much. I hope that's the case. I hope. I'm not going to speculate on something like that. I know paying American workers is, has its challenges. I get that, but 3 times as much though? 2% says, thank you, Ask I, but I have enough difficulty keeping up. Go Power Plus is usually found in the automotive, but from what I'm understanding, but I've been MIA since LED started. They've been MIA. I can't find any in Texas. I've used my Go Powers to run the modem, router, and security system. The modem and the security system ran for 8+ hours, and I only used 1 bar. I want to know, how do you charge the thing from solar? That's all people are trying to figure out. The port on it says 15 volts. How do you accomplish 15 volts on these panels? Most of them are too high for that. I don't know. Benta says, will the 100-watt, 12-volt rich solar panels work with the Jackery 1000? If yes, do you need special connectors? I don't have that experience, but what I would deduce from what LED says is that the 1000 doesn't charge as fast from a rigid panel as it does from its own 100-watt panel. So it feels a little, but that's just me deducing from what LED Farmer 73 said. Byron says they do last a long time and they work good in over 150-degree in-house use. Okay. Double R, not double R, retracted that one. Yeah, the Nature's Generator, Trina has a video, someone who's known in LED's community. She has it. I watched her video, but I couldn't in my mind pull anything from it that made me feel like, oh, this is interesting. And when I look at it, I'm kind of not impressed with it. But I'm a picky guy. What can I say? Food is ready. That's what's up. I'm out. No spaghetti this time. It's bacon, cabbage, and rice today. Man, okay. All that old school food. I ain't mad. Cabbage is fire, though. I love cabbage. All right. It is 8:16, folks. I'm going to call it an evening. Does in series run better than in parallel? Or is it just a personal choice? It's more like a strategic choice, Paula. I used the Harbor Freight 13-watt panel for the Go Power. So in my VM, should I deduce that Harbor Freight 13-watt panel has the port that just natively plugs into the Go Power Plus? That could be a secret to unlocking what what size that port is. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. That thing was on clearance too, so I don't know if they still have it around. Gary, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, 2%. Thanks, MJ Stacks. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks. It does. Okay. So we just have to figure out what port is on the end of that, and then we can kind of reverse engineer what kind of adapter you guys need from 5521 or MC4 to whatever to get to that port that Harbor Freight panel has on the end. Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm gonna look into that. Yeah, VM, I hear you, but we're more so trying to figure out how to use bigger panels. My understanding, based on what Led said, which I'm inclined to agree with, is you can't use a 100 watt panel on it because the voltage will be too high. That port on there says 15 volts. So how you get to 15 volts, I don't know. The panel Led found was the HQST 50 watt. I have a Renogy 50 watt as well. I wonder if the specs are different. And this panel over here is a 50 watt and it costs $85. All right, folks, y'all be beautiful. I'm out of here. Thank you to all of you who gave monetarily. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you to the people who liked the video. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you for your time, for hanging out with me and finding this, what I have to say, valuable. Y'all have a good night. And until next time, holla.